4-year-old may be at grandma's house, but the fur children are still here. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Alyssa, and today I thought I'd try my hand at doing one of those if you like this, then you'll like this book video thing. But I also really wanted to primarily focus on backlisted books, or books that you don't hear of very often. So I thought I'd kind of mix it up a little bit. I usually see these videos and it's like, if you like this popular book, you'll like this popular book. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but I thought it'd be fun to show you some books that maybe you've never heard of, or you haven't heard of in a really long time. So let's get started. So the first one I wanted to talk about is a very popular book that we are all eagerly awaiting the sequel for, and that is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. If you haven't read this, highly recommend it. It's one of my favorites. I really need a reread of it, honestly, especially before book 2 comes out, whenever that may be. This is the story about Alex Stern, who goes to Yale, I believe. It's Yale, I just checked. She goes to Yale for a very bizarre reason. She gets a full scholarship because she can see ghosts. And there's a secret society within Yale that protects the students and the cults, essentially, from ghosts. But normal people can't see them, only she manages to. And then there's like a murder mystery that also needs to be solved at the same time. And this book left off on quite the cliffhanger. So good. But for this one, I'm going to recommend, if you're also waiting for the sequel, Sabriel by Garth Nix. Why? Well, let me tell you why. This is about Sabriel, who is a necromancer. She deals with the dead. She can travel into the realm of the dead by using this belt of bells, and her dad goes missing, and she's convinced he's in the land of the dead, but in order to do that, she has to go on a quest to reach all the gates of the afterlife. The big similarity here is obviously ghosts, dead things, but there's also a little bit of a mystery involved, like the mystery of her father, where he went. There's also a mystery of kind of a similar vein of, where's this person? Where did he go? And that's one of the mysteries in this book, right next to a murder. I think these are kind of similar, especially with some of the themes, but this one is definitely more epic and high fantasy, whereas this one's a urban fantasy in a way. So there are some differences, but I think if you're into like that whole quest for finding missing persons / dealing with the dead, this is your go-to, and this is actually fantastic. I've read this several times and I've never continued on with the series, and that's why I own it, so I can reread it and continue on with the series. My husband actually recently read this and he really loved it, so husband recommendations. So the next one I have also deals with ghosts and spooky stuff, and that is The Diviners by Libba Bray. I love this book so much. This is the story about Evie O'Neill, who is a diviner. She can touch objects of people's and find out deep dark secrets about them, or, you know, mundane secrets, depending on what she reads. But after she moves to New York, bad stuff starts happening. A serial killer is on the loose who may or may not be human. And Evie and her uncle and her friend Jericho have to solve the mystery. And it's so good. So for this one, I'm going to recommend In the Shadow of Blackbirds by Kat Winters. This also has ghosts, since it's a theme. This book is phenomenal. If you have not read it, I highly recommend it. It really needs a reread for me because it's been so long, but I remember it still. The Shadow of Blackbirds takes place during the 1918 Spanish influenza and World War I, of course. And this follows Mary Shelley, who, her whole family has the flu, so she goes and lives with her aunt for a little bit, or some strange relatives, and they actually happen to be spiritualist photographers. And if you don't know what that is, basically back then, these people would use people's grief to make money by saying they can take pictures of their dead loved ones. They can like summon them back for one last photo. And so she kind of gets wrapped up in that. But one time when she gets her photo taken, there's actually a real ghost. So there's a ghost story, but also a mystery as to how this all got started. And basically the premise is that Mary Shelley wants to figure out who the ghost is. She's pretty sure it's her ex-boyfriend who passed away in the war, and he must have something else to say. So it's pretty crazy. It's a wild ride. I think the most similarities between these two is obviously the ghosts. So this one has a museum of creepy crawlies, of ghostly or haunted quote-unquote artifacts and spooky history, and this one is spooky history. There you go. Those are the similarities. Both very, very good. We're on to a real popular one now. I hope you're ready. So the next one I have is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. If you haven't heard of this, I'm shocked. This is all over the internet. It's very, very popular. It's a Beauty and the Beast retelling, but with fae and steam. Lots of steam. This follows Feyre, who shoots a wolf, thinking, oh, just normal old everyday wolf. Wrong. It's a fairy. And thus she is taken away to the fairy realm to atone for her mistake, and obviously ends up falling in love. It's a bizarre ride, and book 2 is even better, but it's a wild one. So for this one, I'm gonna recommend East by Edith Patou. This is also a Beauty and the Beast kind of retelling. This book also follows a lot of Norwegian folklore, but essentially it's about this girl named Rose who is taken to a magical kingdom in goodness knows where by a talking polar bear. And she has to discover the secret as to who this polar bear is, what he wants, why she's here, and honestly, falls in love. It's very, very good. It definitely has some weird moments throughout the book that you're kind of like, huh? But I imagine if I knew the folklore, it would probably make a whole lot more sense. It's a duology, and I've read them both. Both are very good, but this one especially is definitely worth the read. This is older. This came out in 2005, and it is so, so good. The writing is so lyrical and so beautiful, and I highly recommend it, especially if you're going through withdrawal from this one. This is a good backup. So the next one I have been screaming from the rooftops for everyone to read, but I thought I'd also like throw in a recommendation if you have read it. And that is Crown of Feathers by Nicki Preto. I absolutely love this series. It's one of my all-time favorites. This is about two sisters who want to become Phoenix Riders. One of them does it the kind and compassionate way, and then the other one does not, and tends to be very brutal and just pushes everyone to get what she wants kind of deal. There's phoenixes, there's a slow burn romance, there's good politics, there's friendship, there's twists and turns that I did not see coming. So for this one, I'm actually gonna recommend like a couple. One I've read and one I haven't, and that is the Tamora Pierce books, Alanna, The First Night, and then her animal magic series. I haven't read that one. That's why I don't know the name, but they're here. So I have read Alanna. I read the first 3 back in high school, and I wasn't a huge fan of the third one, so I just kind of gave up. And the reason I recommend this is because in this book, Veronica, our main character, has to disguise herself as a boy in order to join the Phoenix Riders. Hence that. And in her other series, there's animal magic, and there's animal magic in this. It's like the main magic form here is they can talk to animals, persuade animals, they can convince phoenixes to let them ride them, kind of thing. And that's kind of where that goes hand in hand with this. So if you like the animal aspects and the boy disguising, you probably would love these. If I had read them all, I could better tell you. But I would say for those elements alone, you would definitely enjoy these. So the next one I have is The Hunger Games, and this one I read way back in high school. I only read the first one because honestly I could not see how they were going to make more, and it frustrated me, so I didn't read the rest. I have seen all the movies though. I have done that. The Hunger Games is a story about a girl who is unfortunately forced into this competition of the cities and made to fight to the death and survive. So for that one, I'm actually gonna go with Master of Sorrows, and I would not say this is backlisted, but this is a indie author, and I'm currently reading it and I really enjoy it, and I'm definitely seeing some similarities. Whereas this one's very high fantasy, that one is very dystopian, but the contest aspect and the violence aspect are definitely there. Master of Sorrows is a villain origin story, essentially, about a Nev who's competing in this test to become an avatar, which is like the next step to becoming a master. And he has been trying and training his whole life to become this, and the test finally comes. And then there's also some other stuff going on. Magic is forbidden in this world, but a Nev has one arm, and that's considered bad, and he has like a magical robot hand, is the best way I can put that. I think the big similarities between this and this is obviously the contest factor, because they're literally having to try to get their goal. This one, you don't have to kill people as often, but I'm sure it's gonna happen. I really, really am enjoying this, and I definitely recommend it if you liked the Hunger Games, but if you're also in the mood for a fantasy version of Hunger Games, I guess. I don't know if this is an accurate, if you like this, you'll like this, but I'm going with it because it's my video and I do what I want. So those are my if you like this, then you'll like this recommendations, backlisted book edition, or indie author edition. It really got off track come Crown of Feathers, to be fair. Let me know down below what you would recommend for any of the books that I mentioned. And of course, if you haven't subscribed, please do. And if you want to, give this video a thumbs up if you feel like it. And I will see you all very, very soon in the next video. Bye-bye!